Hey folks, Nathan B. Butler here, continuing our look at stuff for Final Girl. We know there have been 2 Kickstarters so far. I covered all the stuff from the Series 1 Kickstarter in a single video, and then for Series 2, I showed all the stuff from Wave 1 in one video, and then a separate video for all the stuff from Wave 2. And yes, there is a Series 3 Kickstarter coming up in September 2023, very, very soon. What we're going to look at this time is something that is meant to enhance the Series 1 experience that was released at Gen Con 2023, subsequently made available on the Ryder Games website. It will be coming back to the VRG website sometime soon. They've had some mechanical issues with getting the stock back. They are producing them locally, but it is coming, so don't worry about scalper prices or anything like that out there. They will be on the website. It is still to be determined whether or not these will show up in the Series 3 Kickstarter, however. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this, the $25 package of Series 1 alternate killer miniatures for Series 1. Now, full disclosure, I am a playtester for Series 3. These were provided directly from Ryder Games. So remember that when it comes to minis, basically you had the Series 1 and Series 2 miniature packs that included all the Final Girls from that series, plus all the killers, and maybe some incidentals. Like, for instance, for Series 1, it included the puppets for Geppetto and Carolyn to go with the poltergeist, the little girl that she's haunting. That was later supplemented by miniature packs for the vehicles for each series and birds for Terror from Above, along with zombies for Terror from Below. So there have been a lot of different miniature packs. This is a new one. This is specific to Series 1, and what it's doing is providing you with a different sculpt to represent each of the 5 killers, but not the puppets for Geppetto, from Series 1. We're going to take a look at each of the minis, compare them to their original minis, and give you a suggestion for how you might want to use these within your games. So first, let's take a look at how these come packaged in the box. It's actually kind of an interesting approach. The box itself here just says Final Girl Series 1 Alternate Killer Miniatures, has images of all of them. Final Girl on either side, blank on the one side, then you've got your information, legalese, your addresses, UPC, all of that stuff on this side. It does say, includes alternate killer miniatures for the following feature films: The Happy Trails Horror, The Haunting of Creech Manor, Slaughter in the Groves, Carnage at the Carnival, Frightmare on Maple Lane, and Terror from Above, which is kind of funny because, of course, there really are no killers for Terror from Above. So that's kind of a misnomer there. Nothing included from Terror from Above, but it's all from that same series. And if you look at the back, includes miniatures for the following feature film killers. And in this case, it does leave out the Terror from Above. You've got Hans, Poltergeist, Inkanyama, Geppetto, and Dr. Fright. This is probably the easy way to tell what is in here without just looking at the cover, because these are the killer names, whereas what is in that smaller print here is the feature film names. But you get a little tab here to help you open it. And then rather than having one big insert, each of them is in one of these little, I tend to think of them as casket kind of inserts here, always sort of that same design there to hold them. So basically inside you got your 5 little packages, each with a lid for the individual minis. But you are meant to store these, just like the other miniatures for the killers, inside the feature film boxes in some of the wells of those inserts. So you probably won't be hanging on to those anyway. And since we're going to see them here before anybody asks, yes, the 2 bigger ones of these, which are Dr. Fright and the Poltergeist, do each fit inside a well of one of those standard inserts, but it's going to pretty much be the only thing in that well in order to fit safely. So just bear that in mind as you are storing things away. For instance, with the Poltergeist, you'll probably put the original Poltergeist mini and Carolyn in the same well instead of separate ones, for example, here. So this was our original version of Hans. We had him with his sledgehammer behind him here. Of course, they all say the names on the bottom. And this is the new version of Hans. Again, Hans on the bottom. So here he's got a cleaver in one hand and a head in the other. A little more menacing, I think, than the sledgehammer. The sledgehammer, of course, is referenced on a lot of his cards, like Sledgehammer Massacre. But then there is a shot that's kind of like that mini in Feed. Like maybe that's the shot right after Feed, because in this case the body is still attached to the head, but he does have the cleaver and he is holding someone by their hair. Then the original Geppetto was very much focused on the puppetry. He's got the thing that he holds for the puppet, and then no actual strings, but then you see the little puppet down there at his feet. And this went, of course, with those 3 puppet minis. Notice he's got his hat on here. And then the new one is more like he's sort of bowing here. He's got his hat off, and there is a puppet, and the puppet with its knife is up on his shoulder. The original Poltergeist was this one, kind of swirling up on some wind with the arms out to the side, like she's about to scream or something. Very sort of narrow profile here. And the new one, it's like she's grabbing and using that wind, and it's swirling all around her, including her hair flying up behind her head, caught in the wind. A lot of the Dark Power and Finale cards for the Poltergeist use wind in some way. There's not necessarily a shot that exactly replicates this, but pretty cool looking, much larger though. Then you have the original Inkanyamba, right? One leg up, sort of getting ready to leap or run with his blades held behind him. So it's like he's about to leap, maybe. And then the new one here, Inkanyaba, is in mid-leap with the blades forward, and there is a piece of landscape there underneath for him. Then finally for Dr. Fright, his original mini was kind of him in his, what you might call his human form, with a sort of pitchfork there. And this is his new mini. Like he's turning into this weird nightmarish mist with like blades and stuff to come after you, which I think is perhaps based on the Everyone Must Die finale card for him. No, I'm not somebody who has a great eye for scale. I think the Hans ones are pretty much the same scale. Geppetto, pretty much the same scale. The Poltergeist seems to be pretty close if you just look at like the body sizes there. And of course, it doesn't matter for Dr. Fright. I would note here that Inkanyamba, to me, that is essentially the same size. But it's kind of harder to tell because with the minis, of course, it's going to be shorter, but that's because this one's leaping and has the terrain underneath it. So for those who are wondering about scale, I think the scale is still the same as the original, but don't quote me on that. Now, how would you use these in a game? Right now, there is no actual official explanation of when and where to use these. So for me, I'm thinking I'm going to be swapping them in either when the finale is revealed or when the Dark Power is revealed. The finale being revealed is more of a dramatic moment because we're near the end of the game, the terror deck is gone, things are going to get rough. Maybe that's a great time to do the switch, but there's a lot of games where hopefully you're going to win before the finale is ever even revealed, so you might not see these very often. Instead, it might be something I think that I'll swap in more likely when the Dark Power is revealed. It'll happen earlier, you'll get to see both minis within the same game, pretty typically. But either way, just another little cosmetic set of items here. Not necessarily for gameplay, but neat if you're a collector or a player of Final Girl stuff. Again, available directly from Ryder Games. TBD whether it will be in the Series 3 Kickstarter. Yes, they will be back on the website though soon. And with that, we'll wrap up our coverage of Final Girl for now. And the next time I see you will probably be when Series 3's Kickstarter starts to deliver.